Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode, and this is episode 2 of the Diary of a Trainee Psychological Wellbeing Practitioner, Diary of a Trainee PWP, and this is all about week 2. Mentioned about the week before, which was week 1. It was a mad week with capitals, bold, italic, everything. It was mad, but you know what? It was amazing. What was amazing about it was meeting all these different people from different backgrounds, different experiences. I met people who had just finished their undergrad last year, people who have just finished their masters, people who were doing some experience in some of the top hospitals in London or outside London, coming in London, people with different experiences working here and there from different, from different cultures and backgrounds. It was amazing. Just amazed by everyone's experiences, and you're dealing with a room of people coming from different parts of the world, and also most importantly, different experiences. Everyone's got unique experiences. Absolutely amazing. That was so exciting. So with week 2, we are moving forward now. See, when you are in this course, this particular course, this training is this training is a combination of uni. We're doing a postgraduate certificate, so a PG cert at UCL. That's generally what the training, the course itself is a PG cert, postgraduate certificate. Couple that with training in the NHS. Well, now other companies outside the NHS or other organizations outside the NHS are starting to actually fund for the program. They're also starting to sponsor fund for the program. So this course is, being provided and delivered in all over the UK. Now in London, the main one is UCL. And you are now, when you're selected, you will be allocated to different boroughs or different services. Each service deals with a particular borough. A borough, for those who don't know, is like a district or a community. For example, I am in the borough I'm dealing with Lewisham Talking Therapies for the borough of Lewisham and the community of Lewisham. There are others all over sort of London. And obviously Lewisham will fall under the South London and Moseley Hospital, or the South London and Moseley NHS, number 1 when it comes to mental health. But there are others who are falling into North London, North East, North West, South London, South West, South East, East London, West London, and etc. Or even some parts of Central. So it depends. What I am trying to say is that, we're all learning about each other. We're all getting to meet one another. Everyone's distributed everywhere. We're all under one cohort, but we're all here with one goal: to qualify, train, and to become qualified PWPs by the end of this year. We're all learning. Week number 2, what was going on? So with week number 2, all right, so the previous week when I started on Friday, it was all about interpersonal skills. How do you establish that therapeutic alliance or relationship in the session, within the treatment itself, and also about risk. And I mentioned we are assessing risk of a person, the risk of a client that comes to us. We're risking the risk to themselves, their safety, and the safety of others. And that was one of the main things we were dealing with that whole week. We were now dealing with the first stage within the PWP role, which is the triage. Now, personally, I thought triage was only for nurses, but apparently we also do triages. Other people do a triage. A triage is basically where you have a problem. You're going to a doctor. You're going to a GP. You're going to a particular hospital, and you're saying to someone there in the reception or whatever that I have this problem. What's going on? They assess you, and after assessing, they allocate you to the right people. That is how the triage works. They're allocating you to the right people, allocating to the right specialist, to the right person who can treat you and support you with regards to the problem that you are coming with, the complaint that you are coming with. All right. So that was what we were learning about the triage. And that is the first stage of where we start our work. We have calls, we have triage days where we call clients and we do a triage. We do a whole, and within this triage, what is the purpose of this session? It is a 30-minute session where we are trying to review their safety, assess their risk. We are discussing about their main problem, finding out what is their main problem, how it is impacting them, and is our service the right service for them? And if it is, all well and good, we will explore the options there of treatment and the treatment modalities, the types of treatments. Do they need to be at our step? Do they need to be at a higher step? Do they need to be signposted to someone who's more of a specialist in that particular area or the particular problem that they're dealing with? So it depends, because some people come with extra luggage and extra baggages and all these different difficulties and problems and hardships that they're dealing and enduring, which is very difficult. The most important thing is making sure that they're the right support. They are given the right support. They're allocated to the right people, whether it's signposting or referral or stepping up. The most important thing is they're getting to the right people. And we've been doing that. I remember that week, second week, it was all about learning it. We start shadowing, literally live shadow with shadowing calls. We are shadowing a lot of qualified people, and as we start, we're expected the week after to kind of start slowly building, learning the system, learning the electronic sort of system, and then after that we start in slowly and gradually we build our own caseload, and we start to actually get into the triaging. And right now it's been an amazing experience. So that's what it's mainly been throughout that week. It's all about learning about triage and learning also. You learn a lot. You learn about telephone etiquettes. You learn about how can you be structured and deal with, manage your time within those 30 minutes, because it's not easy. Until now, a lot of us, even qualified PWPs, will even tell us that the timing, can take a lot of time. I remember our tutors were telling us that it can take time. It really can take time to squeeze in, so much in half an hour, because we'll get more into it in the next following stages, hopefully. When there is an assessment and there's treatment, we can get more into in a bit more depth. But we only have half an hour, and it's learning how to be structured and learning how to be, manage that time within that particular time frame or that duration that we have to get as much information as we need. And then discussing that with our supervisors, and then figuring out what is the right support and treatment for this person. What's going to happen? What are we going to do? The most important thing, we get this person to the right support that they need. So it was interesting in that, lectures were also interesting, learning about what we call the 5 areas, the ABCs, which are, in a particular situation or a particular event, what happens in that particular event that you find triggering. For example, a person says, when I'm walking at a particular street, or let's say, I don't know, when I'm at work and my boss calls out my name, or my boss wants to see me, for example, or when I'm at uni and I get an email from my personal tutor, for example, or my project supervisor, or from one of my lecturers. What are the thoughts that come to your mind in that given situation that you find triggering? What are the thoughts that come to your mind? And from those thoughts, how do you feel emotionally? How do you feel physically? What is your behavior? What is your response, your reaction? And with all of that, it leads to a particular outcome. It's us getting ourselves to understand what we call a hot cross bun. I know I did it in a bit of a circle, but it's these 4 different areas of what we call a hot cross bun. Understanding that in a given situation that's triggering, what is going on in these different areas. It's about awareness. It's about being aware of what's going on. And then once we know that, how can we learn how to slowly shift it within once we get into the treatment and in the interventions? We also learned about the next stage after triage, which is what we call the assessment. So we have an assessment of triaging, and then we have another assessment called the problem focus assessment. And now this one's a little bit longer. It's about 45 minutes. Maybe I can explain in another video, maybe a part B for this, just like the first episode. But you know what, I'll pretty much do it now, although we have 1 minute. But basically, it's 45 minutes. It's pretty much the same thing what we're doing in the triage, with the addition of understanding a person's, we have something called a problem focused statement. And this is a statement that is allowing a person to understand what is their main problem, how it is affecting them, how does it affect their thoughts, how does it affect their feelings emotionally, how does it affect their feelings physically, their behavior, how is it impacting them. And then from that, it's like a statement that they can always go back to when it comes to the treatment. And from that, we understand and we look into what is the best treatment and support that they need, and getting them to the right people. And then from there, we decide, we come to a shared decision, and there we go. We start the treatment. And that is the amazing part. So it's learning all of that in week 2 was overwhelming in a way, but like it's a lot of information. It really was a lot of us